Hello, Helen, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. Really glad to see you here. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good,
All
good,
going
good. I'm
well
glad
now.
glad to hear it. Helen, I've invited you here today just for you to tell us, firstly, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what have you been doing? Like, your just general a summary of your life and how it's been going.
Um,
What kind of
well,
career areas have you been in over the years, etc.?
I got into what I'm doing at the moment quite a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think my school must have been quite enlightened because when I got to the sixth form, we had a choice of activities rather than doing PE,
Mm-hmm.
if you remember that. Um,
Yeah.
And one of the choices was yoga. So I got into that and found that helped because I used to have quite a lot of mood swings and typical teenager, rebellious and quite angry about stuff. And I found that it could help me control the anger. So I used that. Um,
So how young were you when you first started yoga?
about 15.
Oh wow, that is young. That
Well,
is young.
yeah, but I mean, I was never super bendy and like into the physical stuff. It's a lot of mental stuff as well. And I found that the mental stuff was actually more use to me personally,
Mhm, 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 mhm.
rather than the physical. And
So how do you think it helped you when you were younger, like the
it
mental
made me
stuff?
a lot calmer. Once I did the
Hmm.
exercises, I was a lot calmer and more in control. Because
Okay.
I used to have before this, I had red hair, and unfortunately, I had the anger gene to go with it. So
Okay.
I was quite fiery when I was younger.
Okay.
So I needed something to sort me out.
And after that, after you did the yoga when you were 15, what else did you go into? Where did your life lead after that?
Well, I then went into I mean I stayed on at school and then I went to um university and college. Um, Usual thing that's sort of expected of you. Although
Hmm.
in my case, my father was very Victorian and he didn't believe in further education. So I had to get
Okay.
through that on my own without having any backing because
Hmm.
he said, "Oh, well, all women do is get married and have babies." Quote.
Okay.
I thought,
That
right,
was his plan.
okay. Don't think I want to do that. Not
Mm.
yet, went along the normal route, I suppose, with relationships, found somebody who I thought was gonna be with me long term and didn't. So that fizzled out. And again, that's when yoga came in useful because that would cause a lot of upset at the
Hmm.
time. But anyway, got through that, got through the teaching certificate, then couldn't find a job. So I was unemployed for a while,
Okay.
about 6 or maybe 9 months before I got a post with the civil service.
Okay. What were you doing?
I worked in social security as it used to be called then, now known as the job centre.
Oh, okay.
Um, because at a later date the job centre took over the social security. But
Hmm.
I went in mainly as a way of helping people,
Yeah.
um, which I thought I would be able to do. And I'd lived on a council estate, so I knew all sorts of stuff that went on. So it wasn't as though I was coming from a background where I didn't know anything. I knew sort of stuff that went on, including one incident where the one that I really remember is there was a bed that was going round the estate, and I was a visiting officer, and I had another a guy with me who was a visiting officer as well, and he said he had some suspicions about this bed being passed round. So
Oh dear.
the next time I went, I put a little nick underneath the bed and
Hmm.
found it a couple of weeks later when somebody else claimed for a bed, and I said, "No, I've already replaced this one." And then suddenly
Okay.
it disappeared. But
Okay.
just to you see what used to go on.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you after you worked for Social Security, what was your main like what would you say your main career thing was you were doing during your main career?
It was sorting out people's it was income support then. Now it's they've changed the name again. And I don't know what the latest version is. Um,
Hmm.
but it was sorting out their claims, checking on the information, getting information, interviewing. I did quite a lot of interviewing people about their background and what they were looking for in the way of jobs or what illnesses they got. It was also identifying if they needed any more, if they could be entitled to more benefits. That was quite a big part of it because
How long did
although,
how long did you work in that area for?
oh, about, well, overall, because I changed different jobs within the department, but I
Okay.
worked in civil service for 34 years.
Oh wow. Oh, so you were
And
there for a long, long
I
time.
know, but I did other
Were there?
things as well. I did things like the child maintenance I used to do, interviews for that. I
Okay.
did preparing cases for court. I did sickness benefit, pensions, quite a lot of different jobs.
Okay. Okay, so you were in the civil service for a long time. Okay, and during that time, because that was a long that's a long time you've been in the civil service. What kind of things would you say that happened in your life that have been adverse, either through physical health, mental health, or whatever? What areas do you think that you've been affected by?
One was mental health, because I suffered from stress quite a bit. And
Hmm.
at one stage, I had panic attacks and I was off work for about a month or so. Um,
Hmm.
and I ended up having to go and see a counsellor.
Okay.
But it also coincided with the death of my father. And
Okay.
I think that had part to do with it, as well as being overworked and under stress for financial pressures and quite a lot of things going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I got through that. So,
Yeah. Did you find that you used the yoga a little bit through that, or was
oh
it something you
yes,
weren't?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
That's why I still do it because I'm trying to get people to appreciate not just the physical. I mean, unfortunately, with the Western world, we concentrate on the physical, where in
Yeah.
fact there's so much more to it than that. And it's trying to
Hmm.
get people to appreciate that you can also do yoga without doing the physical,
Yeah.
because you can do the breathing exercises and you can
Hmm.
do the meditation. So
Hmm.
I mean my greatest asset is that I can send people to sleep. So
Yeah.
I do quite a lot of relaxation exercises.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah. 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 And what other things do you think have happened in your on your journey? What other things, adverse things that have happened to you on your journey?
Well, later on, I got diagnosed with cancer, which came totally out of the blue because I wasn't feeling ill at all.
Hmm.
So I had to go
And
and get that sorted out, and that came as quite a shock. I mean, I wasn't particularly bothered about having family, but when I was told that I was going to have hysterectomy, I
hmm.
suddenly I thought, well, that's shut down my options.
Hmm. 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 Totally
And
understand. Been there, done that. But
yeah,
how old were you when you had to have your hysterectomy?
56.
Oh, okay.
So I was older anyway.
Yeah.
But there up until that time, I was still having periods. So
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I know it's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got through that, and then this year I got a heart attack. So
Wow. It just you've had quite a few things happen to you.
I
But during
have
the time,
over. I keep thinking when you first approached me, I thought, what can I say? And then I started going through the stuff, and I thought, oh, actually, there's quite a lot that's happened.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So when you went through your ovarian cancer, was it ovarian cancer you had?
Sorry.
What cancer? What type of cancer did you have?
It was cervical.
Oh, cervical cancer. Okay, when you went through that, what did you actually go through, like on a kind of mental stage? What was going through your head? How were you feeling? How were you dealing your day to day? What was that kind of like?
Well, at the beginning, it was like it's total shock.
Hmm.
So I mean, I should have twigged when I went into the to get my results, and there were three doctors there. I should have realised that there was something that was not right.
Hmm.
But when they told me, it was like I'd just gone down a tunnel and they were at the far end. It was
Yeah.
really
Oh, wow.
weird
Hmm.
experience. It's like an out of body thing. I mean, people talk about having an out of body experience, but that was as though I was watching from the wall, like a fly on the wall.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I can
And
imagine. Yeah.
I had to use quite a lot of the breathing exercise to be able to relax enough to go to sleep because it disrupted my sleep patterns. I couldn't sleep.
Hmm.
So, but they got me in hospital quickly. And within about
Hmm.
3 weeks of diagnosis, I was in having the operation. So
Oh, wow. Oh,
I
wow.
didn't
And the
have too much
hysterectomy
time to
was the
think about
operation.
it.
Okay. And the hysterectomy was the operation that kind of sorted it. Was that the hysterectomy? Once they removed your womb and your cervix, then did they say that you were okay after that, or was there anything else you had to do?
Well, they did what they call a radical hysterectomy, which is everything. So
Yeah.
fallopian tubes and ovaries
Okay.
and bit of the womb. Well, all of the
Hmm.
womb and bit of the vagina. So they took quite a lot.
Okay.
And physically, I was very weak afterwards, but that was a reaction to the anaesthetic.
Okay.
So all I did was eat and sleep basically for
Okay.
about 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I started to come round and eventually I went back to work. But I found I was getting very tired, so I had to reduce my working hours.
Hmm.
And but afterwards I was fine. They found it at an early stage, so I didn't have too many complications. Once they'd done the surgery, that that was it,
That
basically.
was it. So you didn't have to do chemo or anything like that.
Well, they said I might need to, and they said I might need radiology, but I didn't in
Okay.
the end.
That was
So
that was
I
good.
got off a bit light.
Yeah. And how do you think the kind of yoga came into play during that period of time of your life?
Well, I know that helped an awful lot because once I'd had the surgery in hospital, while I was still in
Mhm.
hospital, I started doing some exercises, breathing exercises, and light exercises like raising the legs. And on about day 5 after the operation, a physiotherapist came round and
Yeah.
was chatting away. And I said, "Oh, I'm already doing some exercises." And I'd showed her some sheets which I'd got from my instructor because at the time I was training to be a yoga teacher at that stage.
Okay. Okay.
And she said, "Oh, you're doing far more than I would have given you."
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, but I felt like saying, "Well, really, there's all these other ladies here, and nobody has been round to them in the first few days, so they've just been encouraged to lie there and
Mhm.
not feel sorry for themselves instead of getting them up and moving."
Driving. Okay. Although when I had mine, they had me out of bed the second day. They said, "Oh, you got to walk, you got to walk," and I was only in for like I think 48 hours. I
Yeah,
was out
yeah.
within 2 days. I was out. I was out. They didn't let you stay in. They said, "Oh, we have to have the bed. You need to get out." I mean, I had mine for fibroids. I had really bad fibroids, and that's why I had mine. So they had to take it out because otherwise, my menstrual cycle was completely off the wall. Completely off the wall. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, 3 weeks in a month is not the kind of menstrual cycle you can live with.
No,
And my
no.
and my hemoglobin was really low and all that kind of stuff. So, but it was a difficult process to go through. And I had the same type of thing where when I was 42 and I was like, I wasn't in a relationship. So I was like, you're not going to have kids anyway. So don't worry about it. And then after you've had it, you're like, oh, but now you don't have a choice. So before you had a choice, but now all of a
Yeah,
sudden, because you don't have a womb anymore, there's no choice. So you can't have children. So it was a kind of like for me, it was a very kind of stressful, it was kind of emotional time and pretty stressful because I thought that was a solution to the problem I had, but then it created another problem in my mind afterwards, which was a bit like,
yeah,
what do I do now? And I had to work my way through that. So I mean, I completely like having a hysterectomy is if I think back, if I could have changed so many different things, maybe my diet or whatever, I would have done that instead. But I was at like death's door. Like I couldn't, I wouldn't. When I got on the train, I would not stand. I wouldn't sit down, even though I was on the train for like half hour because I was so afraid of what was going to happen to me and that kind of stuff. So it's really, yeah, it was very, and you get paranoid every time you sit down. You get up, you look at the chair behind you. It was a bit too much. So I definitely had to move on from that.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
completely
No,
understand.
it is the sense that somebody else is taking control of your life. Because I
Mm.
felt it was all, it was all the doctors and they were making all the decisions. And I'm thinking, well, hold on, I'm here.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you've recently this year, you've had a heart attack. How did you deal with that one?
Well, that was a bit weird because I was actually walking along and I got this real pain at the top of my left arm, as though somebody was
Mhm.
squeezing my arm. And I felt a bit dizzy. And I sat down and two ladies came by and said, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just feeling a bit dizzy, but I'll be fine." Anyway, I thought it happened again a couple of days later, and I thought, yeah, that's not quite right. I'll ring the
Mm.
doctor. Of course, unfortunately, I couldn't get an appointment for about a fortnight, and I thought maybe I shouldn't leave it a fortnight because
Yeah,
this has
exactly.
happened. So I rang 111, and the lady there, apparently they're all doctors who answer 111 calls.
Mhm.
And she said straight away, go to the hospital immediately. In fact, she told me to ring an ambulance, but as I live straight across the road from a hospital, I walked
Okay.
across.
Yes, yeah,
Well, waiting times for ambulances, I could have been hours.
yeah.
So I thought, it'll take me 10 minutes to walk over there to A&E. So I went in, they started all the tests, and then they said, oh yeah, ECG shows you've had a heart attack. So I thought,
Mm.
oh, that was it, was it? And
Yeah,
apparently, you see on these films of people clutching their chest
yeah,
and
yeah. But you didn't do all that.
no. And apparently it affects men in the chest, but it affects women in the arm. And I thought,
Oh,
well, I wonder how widely known that is, because I
yeah,
wasn't
exactly.
aware of that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
But
exactly.
women's symptoms are tightness in the arm, can be in the chest, but usually in the arm or neck.
Okay,
So anyway, that got sorted out. I'm now on tablets, so I'm struggling with the side effects of statins and trying to get off them. And
okay.
I think I'm going to be, well, I know he's going to change the pills over. So
Yeah.
we'll get it sorted out. We're getting there slowly.
Mhm. And how do you think your yogas? How do you think you're using your yoga to help you get over that one? Because that was another big thing that's
Oh,
happened to you.
it's because it takes your mind off everything.
Oh wow, yeah.
If you're concentrating on, well, even if you're just concentrating on breathing, you've got to focus, which means there's no space for thinking about anything else. You
Hmm.
just got to concentrate. So I did breathing exercises. I've done some physical exercises, although not all of them. And
Mhm.
right at the beginning, I spent um, time sitting in a chair while I was teaching.
Mhm.
But gradually that's gone so that now I only sit in the chair at the very beginning while
Then
they have a
you,
quick relaxation, and right at the end where I do a long exercise on
wow.
relaxation.
Okay. So so when I hear your story, yoga has been a big part of your life from the very beginning, from when you were a child to when you found out you had cervical cancer to your heart attack, everything. Yoga has been a big part of your life and been able to keep you afloat throughout it and help you with your mental health and your breathing and all of that kind of thing. So did you think that what do you think it would have been like if you didn't have yoga on your side?
I at one point I was suicidal, and if I hadn't had yoga to fall back on, I think
Hmm.
I would have taken my own life.
Yeah, it was that bad. It got to that.
It
You got
it
to
got
that.
that bad, but
Yeah.
then you keep thinking through things, and I thought in the end, no, that means that you've given up,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't give up.
Mm.
You've been put on the earth for a reason. You might not know what the reason is, but it's not up to me to waste that gift, if you like.
You're teaching people your gift because you're teaching people yoga and you're giving them the opportunity to use it to benefit their own life. So there you go.
Yeah, I think so, because a lot of them tell me that they feel much better after the sessions,
Hmm.
even if they're a bit skeptical at first. Once they've practiced a few times, they realize that it's having an effect and it makes a difference.
Hmm.
It doesn't work for, I can't say it'll work for everybody, but I would always say give it a go. If it
It
works
also
for
depends
you,
on
it really does.
it depends on your approach. If you go into it thinking, okay, I want to get the best out of this, then you're going to get something out of it. If you go into it going, oh, I don't know if this is going to work for me, then you're less likely to get something out of it. So it's all depending on where you're coming from at being able to use it. I
Yeah.
remember when I was younger, I didn't really like yoga because I thought people were just sleeping all the time. I just like, no, I'll fall asleep doing that. But when I started to read about it and recognize the benefits from it. And I got older, obviously. So when you get older, you start thinking about, oh yeah, this, how breathing, particularly when it comes down to breathing and things like that, it really makes a massive effect on what I do and how I feel. And, sometimes when I get into a very anxious state about something or overwhelmed about something, I use some of the breathing exercises I learned from it to kind of calm me down and bring me down. So it's really it really does matter. It does make a difference how you approach it.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I'm working mainly with people with health conditions. So
Mm-hmm.
the version that I do is quite slow. And I
Mm-hmm.
always say to anybody new who comes along, this may be too slow for you. But most of the time they turn around and say, oh, I've never done yoga like that before. And
Yeah.
they say that they like it. So
Yes.
even younger people tend to go more for the physical stuff. But even the younger ones have said, oh, yeah, it does make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Helen, thank you so much for coming in today. Thank you for sharing your story. It was lovely to hear from you. I do wish you a speedy recovery. Absolutely. And thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.